Welcome to Greater Good Radio Hawaii, where we develop tomorrow's leaders by bringing you up close and personal with today's top business people. Greater Good Radio Hawaii is dedicated to social entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Carrie Leong. Today's guest is William Donahoe, owner of the Shipping Shack, Inc. William is the first person in Hawaii to receive government funding for his business due to medical disability. Please welcome to Greater Good Radio, William Donahoe. Welcome to our show, William.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
So could you tell us what the Shipping Shack is?
The Shipping Shack is a package shipping store located at 3569 Harding Avenue in Kaimiki. We are an authorized shipping center for FedEx, UPS, DHL, and the U.S. Mail. Also, we do packing, faxing, copying service, have a little internet cafe.
Okay, so it's a typical shipping type of company.
Correct.
And then you have the cafe in addition.
Correct.
Great. And so you were the first person in Hawaii to receive governmental funding for your business with medical disability?
That is my understanding, correct.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit more about how you received the funding?
Yes. I worked for FedEx for 19 years, and back in October of 2002, I went out on medical disability, and it was apparent that I wasn't going to be able to return to FedEx. And I was informed of a program at Division of Vocational Rehab with the state of Hawaii for people that have been displaced from work due to disabilities. So I called them up and made an appointment. And on the initial day, I talked to the supervisor, Susan Ford, and she asked me exactly what I wanted to do. And I told her, actually, I want to start my own business, a package shipping store, since I had experience in that field. And she asked me what kind of experience I had and what kind of schooling, et cetera. And I explained to her. And she said that they were starting a new program instead of taking people that are on disability and placing them with present employers. If they had the qualifications, they would assist them to start their own business to hire people. And she said I was a prime candidate who they were looking for this new program.
Now, while you were on disability, what motivated you to want to start your own business?
My goal is, I always set goals in my life, and my goal was, one of my final goals was to start my own business. I was a single father raising my 4 sons, and I was going to wait till all my sons, were pretty well on their own, because I didn't want to take the risk of putting the family in financial jeopardy. And then everything just fell into place for me. I came across this program due to my medical condition, et cetera. And like I say, I always want to start my own business, and my goal was, I transferred here to FedEx back in April of 2001. And actually, my goal was within 2 to 3 years to start my own business anyway, and everything just fell into place.
Are you able to give us a little background about your disability? You have an interesting story of, your recovery and when you were told what happened.
Sure. Back in mid-2002, I started experiencing severe headaches, numbness on the left side of my body, and numbness going down both feet. I was had a CDL Class C license for FedEx. I handle explosives and radioactive material to the military bases, et cetera. And every 2 years, you have to take a DOT physical, and you have to sign a government form stating, if you had a medical condition came up where you was a harm to yourself or to the public at large, you had to report it. Well, I started blacking out the wheel. So I went to see a specialist, a neurologist, and they did MRIs. I determined I had a brain tumor. And they said that was not causing my symptoms, though, where the tumor was located. They said it was a lipoma, a fatty tissue tumor. So then I went to my supervisor at FedEx here at the Honolulu station and explained to them what they had found and what occurred. And they sent me to the company doctor, and he put me on medical disability temporarily due to my medical condition. After further tests, it was determined, medical tests, it was determined I had, it's called Chiari-Arnold 1. Hope I pronounced that right. And it's here you were born with part of your brain stem missing, which I never knew. And more or less my brain was actually, I guess you could say, falling down at the base of my skull, hitting my spine. And fluid was built up around my brain and also around my spine. In fact, I had it's called a syrinx. It's like a fluid blister built up on my cervical spine. You could not see it from outside, but the MRI showed it. And so it was determined I needed to have an operation. One of the doctors here suggested for me to go back to the mainland and have my operation because 2 of my sons still live there in Orlando, Florida. And one of my sons is a firefighter EMT, and they suggested for me to be around him during my recovery. So I went back to Orlando. They took out a piece of my skull and took the tissue off the ball of my brain. And while they were in there, they discovered scar tissue and growth spurts coming out from my brain through the two membranes that surround your brain to cushion it from your skull. And I believe it's called arachnoid or acnoid adhesions. And they determined out the scar tissue and this growth was from back in August of '89. When I lived up in Ohio, I got bit by a deer tick and I contracted Lyme disease, went to spinal meningitis, which was almost fatal to myself. So they removed all the scar tissue and the growth also. And while recovering from my brain surgery, one day I got up off the sofa and my legs collapsed out from underneath me. And this continued on for several months, even after I came back here to Hawaii. And I went back to Florida several times for more medical tests. And then one time I had to be taken to the emergency room here at Queens, and a doctor here referred me to a specialist here named Kenneth Kahn. And it was determined then that my discs were gone in the lower lumbar area between the 2, 3, and the 4 and the 5. And so they had to be taken out and replaced with 6 screws and a fusion, etc.